I've been using the 15 Pro Max, since the first weekend it came out, which was last September, very nearly 6 months ago. I've been using it daily since then, so that puts me in a great position to tell you what it's been like to use over those past months, and also why it was so good that it stopped me from switching over to Android. Now, the first thing I got right this time around was the size. I like large displays. I like large phones. I know there's plenty of people out there that like the iPhone mini. I wasn't one of them. The 14 Pro just felt too small. Everything felt too cramped. It didn't feel as premium because of the size. Whether it's looking at content from YouTube, reading maps, or reading my emails, the larger screen on here just feels better, and it feels more of a premium experience. Now, display-wise, yes, it's a fantastic display, 120 hertz refresh rate, which you kind of forget is there. It's super, super smooth. But I mentioned that I did try Android last year. I bought the Pixel 8 Pro. It's a lovely phone. It wasn't for me. There wasn't enough on there to make me want to switch from iPhone to Android. But the one thing that was better was the display. It was somehow brighter, deeper, punchier. I can't quite put my finger on it. It was just a better display. And not only a better display to look at, the durability is better as well. Now, I had problems with the 14 Pro. Just to explain, I never use cases or protectors because I love how these phones feel, and I'm pretty careful with the devices. Now, the 14 had an issue with micro scratches on the front glass. The back glass is fine. The titanium nails on here have been fine. It's just the Gorilla Glass on the front. It's collecting a lot of micro scratches, more than the 14 Pro did, and certainly more than the Pixel 8 Pro as well. So I don't know what Apple needs to do to try and just toughen the glass up. Obviously they can't make it too tough that it's fragile, but there's something that's just not working on here, both from the point of view of the quality of the display and also from the scratch resistance. I mentioned that I don't use cases because I love the design, particularly this year. They have done such a great job with the design this year. Now, on the face of it, there's not a lot different, but there's three little elements they did that have just played together beautifully to make this phone gorgeous to use and hold. Firstly, they rounded off the edges on the display, so they're no longer those square, harsh edges. They've used that titanium rail, which has shed some weight, but then to go with that, somehow they've altered the fulcrum, the balance point, where the weight distribution is, and it just feels so light. It feels much lighter than it really is, and when you're holding it for long lengths of time, or maybe it's in your pockets, you just kind of forget it's there. It's just such a lovely phone to hold and use. Now, the other design elements that changed on the outside, at least on this phone, were the USB-C port and the action button. Now, the action button I completely forgot about for the first 3 or 4 months of it being there. I think when you get it out the box from memory, it's mapped to the camera, but muscle memory for me meant I was using the icon on the lock screen to get to the camera if I wanted to quickly. And then just recently, I've now switched it over to being a mute switch, which is what it used to be anyway. Most of the time, of course, I am human, or humane, so my phone is set to silent. But on the odd times I want to turn the ringer on, it's much quicker to have it on there than to have to go into the control center and alter it from there. Now, as to USB-C, I use wireless charging all of the time. So the only time that the USB-C port gets used is when I'm recording direct to an SSD, and I'll come back to that in a little bit when we start talking about the cameras. As for the A17 Pro chip, look, this channel, as well you know, doesn't do meaningless bench tests or geek tests. I like to just use it every day in the way that I think you'll probably be using your phone as well. And all I can tell you is this phone has never felt slow to use. I wouldn't expect it to. I'm not a gamer. I'm guessing that's possibly the only time I'd be stressed. And again, these chips will get a little bit more work if perhaps, as is rumored in iOS 18, we're going to get more AI features on the next iteration of iOS. But this is a fast phone. It really is. Thank you so much if you've subbed to the channel recently, by the way. We're going great guns at the moment. My next goal is to get to 5,000 subs as quickly as possible. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, go and take a look at the channel. There's plenty of videos on there that I think you might enjoy. There's loads of videos about Vision Pro, for instance. There's plenty of videos about anything to do with Mac, and also some Android videos as well. Take a look, and if you're enjoying the content, that sub really would help. And don't forget, turn on notifications as well. YouTube doesn't always get the feed right, so make sure that you turn on those notifications so that when I upload a video, you are the first to know. And if you're really enjoying the video, you could even drop me a super thanks too. I've got plenty of great plans and ideas for the channel this year, and any support you can give me goes a really, really long way. Now, I do try to learn from my mistakes, and storage was another mistake I learned from. With the 14 Pro, I got that with 1 terabyte of storage on. The reason being, on the 14s, on the year the 14 Pro came out, was the first time we could record in ProRes, and I knew the files were going to be huge. For instance, a 30-minute video, if I was trying to record something for the channel on it, could easily be 90 gigs. They are massive. So I did buy it with a lot of storage on it. In reality, I never shot ProRes on the 14 Pro because you couldn't get the files off. Obviously, that's all changed now with the USB-C port and the fact that you can record direct to SSD. Now, when Apple announced that, I didn't think it was going to be as easy as it is, but honestly, it's as simple as plugging in the drive, the phone sees it, and it records the files straight to the SSD. They're not even temporarily stored on the phone at all. They go directly to the SSD. Now, I bought the Samsung T7 SSD, and I've been delighted with it. I've actually been so happy with it, I've left an affiliate link in the description. It's just so easy to use. It records direct to, as I said, and it's super, super quick to drag the files off onto the Mac to start editing as well. Now, as for shooting ProRes and log, it was that good that at the start of this year, I actually shot all of the videos for this channel on the 15 Pro Max rather than using the Canon that I'm using now. It was that good. The only thing that made me switch back to shooting on the Canon was there's a little bit more depth of field. It's a bit softer behind me than it is on the iPhone, but honestly, it's that good that I considered dumping a Canon, a dedicated Canon camera, to shoot on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I did use the Blackmagic app, and I've made videos about how to use the app as well. And I'll leave a link to one of the videos I shot on the 15 Pro so you can take a look and decide which you prefer when I shoot either on the Canon or the 15 Pro Max. But the thought that I could even come that close to switching out and using this full time on the channel shows you just how good the video is. It takes a bit of getting used to shooting in ProRes and log, but once you've got on top of it, it does give amazing, amazing results. As for the cameras, well, I'm going to kind of let you be the judge of that. I took the 15 Pro Max out this week for the making this video. First of all, I went to Royal Windsor. It's 3 times a week, we have something called the changing of the guard. And I just thought it'd be a lovely bit of pageantry where you can see how good the colors look. I've used only the native camera app on this phone, so I wasn't using Blackmagic. It shot in 4K, 24 FPS. And after I finished up in Windsor, I went up to London, around the Battersea store in London, the Apple Battersea store in London, and took some shots further up the Thames around London, just so you could get a feeling of how good these cameras are. Now, the main camera was the biggest change really this year. The sensors had a few tweaks made to them, but the main camera gave us 3 focal lengths. You could shoot at 1x at 24mm, 28mm gave you 1.2x, and there's a 35mm setting as well if you want to go all real photography looking, and that's at 1.5. I've started using the 10x a little bit as well. That's given some really, sorry, not the 10x, the 5x a few times as well recently. And that's given some really lovely results, surprisingly good. I don't know who would ever want to go 10x on a phone. I think that's probably why Samsung have switched back on the S24 Ultra and have come back to the 5x similar to this. But the camera ranges on this phone will suit you for virtually all of your needs. I guess if you're a high-end professional photographer, yes, you're still going to need a digital proper camera. But honestly, anything short of being a full-time professional photographer, the cameras on this phone are going to be perfect for you. They are so, so good, as you can see. And we'll also check out how good the battery was on the phone as well. I'm going to take it out for the day. I'm not going to put any juice on it, any charge in it. So we'll see how it lasts up through the course of the day, shooting videos, taking pictures on what was going to be a fairly long day. So today I've decided to come out with the iPhone and spend all day with it. I think I left home with about 93% on the battery. I'm not going to charge it at all during the day. See how it gets on. I'll keep some screenshots of how the battery's getting on because it's got a long day ahead of it. So you've just seen videos of Royal Windsor, the bits with the soldiers. That's called changing the guard. If you're not from the UK, The guards are the guards that guard the royal family, and they change over 3 times a week during the winter, and then during the summer, I think June, July and August, they change over every day. So if you're coming to the UK and you're coming to Windsor, well, first of all, make sure to say hello, because it's very near to where I work and live. And it's a really good spectacle. When the weather's nicer, there's also a band playing, but instruments and the rain don't mix too well. So today there was no band, unfortunately. After that, I took you round to those gates. That's where King Charles lives. That's his personal and private apartments there. And behind me now is the River Thames on Eton Bridge. I'm only showing you the River Thames because the next time you see me, I'll be in London on the River Thames. We're going to go into town now. I'll show you the Battersea store, the Apple Battersea store, and then we'll shoot around Battersea for a bit, Battersea Bridge and so on, and we'll just do some camera testing and importantly see how the battery lasts up. But because I'm not picking the yards for you, it's not particularly pleasant out here today. So the whole idea of today has been to spend the day out in Windsor and in London with the iPhone 15 to see how I got on. I left home this morning with about 93% on the battery at 9:30ish, just before 10, 4 hours later, and I've got 48% on there now. So the battery life is doing okay today. It's done quite a lot. I've been streaming audio in the car, using sat-nav, and obviously taking all the videos and pictures that you've seen, and I've not charged it at all during the day. When I finally get home tonight, I might try and take another screenshot then, so you can see what the battery life is then as well. But as we're only 6 months away from iPhone 16, that kind of makes me think, what else do I need? I'm not massively into the AI features that are promised to be coming perhaps in iOS 18. I want the phone to be functional, and this has been functional. This is doing its job. It's taking fantastic video. And don't forget, all the video I've taken today has been with the native camera app. I haven't used the Blackmagic app, and I haven't shot in ProRes. I wanted this to be a true reflection of perhaps what you could expect if you were to buy an iPhone 15 Pro Max and use it for photography and for your video work. Honestly, like I said, unless you're one of those few high-end photographers that demands the very, very best, this is going to do the job for you on the cameras and on the video. It's robust and it's lasting well. We've just got that issue with the display where I wish they could make it a little bit brighter, more zingy, a bit more punchy, and also do something about those macro and micro scratches that I'm getting on the display. But other than that, this phone is really good. I did try the Pixel and I liked some of what I saw on the Pixel, but not enough to make me want to change away from the iPhone, and of course the Apple ecosystem that comes with it as well. I hope you enjoyed this day in the life of with me coming out into London, here up at Battersea now, and that's with the River Thames behind me that you saw first of all at Eton, now up in London. And if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget, the best way to help this channel out is to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll be back with another video very, very soon. See you then.